called Limehurst. It was built in 1860 for a wealthy cotton merchant. This area was very much part of that industrial revolution. And this whole area really, there's massive houses like this that most of them now have been subdivided into apartments. My friend and I bought this and everything started from there. We converted the basement, all of the apartments, and we had this front garden that was about half an acre. We made a planning application to build a house on the surface, which was rejected. We then made another planning application, which was rejected. We took that to appeal, and the appeal inspector said, and it was quite key words, "You'll never get planning for any house here which takes away the view from the street of the main house. Conservation area, period house, you won't get it." I've actually been away most of the summer, so I've not been through the door in 3 months, so yeah, it'll be interesting. Well, it's called perdu, and if you look up the dictionary definition of perdu, it's a French word meaning lost, forgotten, hidden. Yeah, so here now, we're on top of the house. The key for this absolutely was about light. The number of people that said to me, "Oh, I could never live underground. Isn't it dark?" The key was to draw a lot of light into all of the key spaces. And we've done that really with a series of really big walk-on roof lights. That one is all living space, but then you've got the bedroom spaces. Master bedroom, over the sofas, and then this is over bedroom 2. Do you want me to just stand? So all of these are designed just to draw light down into the spaces. It is the big surprise because you wouldn't dream of it being as light down there as it is. Hey, it worked. Clearly, you've got to get into the thing somehow. So that's the only above ground component, which is designed to be like a folly, like a little garden feature that echoes in some way the style and period of the main house. Getting that past the planners was probably the biggest hurdle because everything else is little or no impact visually. Clearly there needs to be a way of getting into the house. That's the front door, and this is that kind of arrival space. It welcomes you in and drops you down. Everyone knows what a house looks like. You arrive at the front of a house, you see the style of the house, so you get an idea of what to expect. With this, what we're finding is that as people come, they've no idea what to expect. You see this, that doesn't really tell you what you're going to see when you get downstairs. So it is quite funny. There's a moment here as you kind of fall down the stairs and you see the space where it's quite interesting seeing people's faces, because they don't suddenly go, "Oh right, okay, I get it." People go, "Oh yeah, well, that's like a Bond house." The underground Bond lair has obviously been a thing that we've all seen and kind of chuckled about and gone, "Oh, that's just kind of a bit ridiculous."
You definitely don't feel like you're underground. You see light coming from, and that's actually daylight coming from all those openings.
Yeah, from here. The idea of being underground is you think about being in a cave-like space, don't you? Kind of limited height, dark, damp, all those things. Well, actually, you've got lots of volume, space.
It does have, this combination, this duality of bat cave, but futuristic with the all nice house.
It's interesting, isn't it? You talk bat cave. All of the images you've ever seen of that it's deliberately a little bit dark. It's a little bit enclosed. That's the style of it. And what we've created is the antithesis of that. Is light and luxurious and soft and welcoming, really.
Yeah, the word cave doesn't come to mind, right?
No.
Yeah.
No. I would actually go as far as to say that if you teleported someone into here, I don't think they would think they were underground. If you were standing here, would you really think that you're looking at windows? Would you actually think that you're underground here? I'm not sure you would. I think the ceiling height is critical. And then of course the light. If you've got a vertical piece of glass, something like 2/3 of it comes in in the first half of the glass, and the bottom half doesn't really draw much light in. It makes sense, doesn't it? Because the light's not coming in at the bottom, it's coming in at the top. Whereas that is 6 square meters of glass. You know, it's 4 times the glass, and it's all performing. So, you know, you think we've got an 8 meter wide light well. We've got a voile across it. We're not even obsessed with getting every bit of light, because it is light, it's naturally light.
It's incredible that actually the artificial light doesn't compete with all that. Doesn't it? And there's so much light.
I think our artificial light is actually kind of accent lighting. Well, I mean, look at that. I mean, that room there. I mean, if I turn the lights off, you probably won't even notice when they go off. I mean, that's it. That's natural light in this underground house.
Quite beautiful, actually, looking up, isn't it?
Yeah. Obviously, you know, when you're sleeping, we've got integrated electric blinds, so you can black out, but
it's nice.
Yeah.
And that is a window that's special.
Yeah, it's toughened glass. Yeah.
Which is.
I think they just treat it in a certain. You use toughened glass if you've got lower windows that, you know, a child comes in contact with it. That has to be treated in a way where they can't fall against it and it break. You've got that, but this is full walk-on glazing. So this is, you know, you could get a hammer and, you know, if you do manage to break it, it does that thing where it just shatters and stays as one piece. So, but you know, even you look at how much light from that is drawn through into there. You know, as you said, there's no. I mean, okay, we've got the lights on, but it's such a powerful source of light. You know, and we've got these throughout. This is bed 2, and it's got the roof light. This is the master, which has got the same roof light. And then bed 3 is the one with the light well, as we've already seen.
How did you make a choice of where to put skylights?
I think it was about making sure that we had natural light in all the key spaces. So each of the bedroom suites had to have natural light of one form or other. But then obviously you have to match that with what you want it to look like above. So there was a need for a bit of symmetry up in the garden level. You've got to have them in a way which makes sense from a landscape dressing point of view. But yeah,
right, it does feel like a very formal garden, actually.
Yeah, and I think up there it needs to feel like something that might have been built in the garden of a country home. You know, it needs that bit of, you know, this house was built in 1860, so it needs to look like something which could potentially have been created for that house. Essentially, there's 3 spaces that have got step-out areas. So the kitchen, this bedroom, and then the main living space. They've all got these large light wells, and, you know, sure, their purpose is to draw light in, but it's also to give you the ability to get out of the house. So, you know, here, you know, from your kitchen, you can come outside, have a coffee, and, you know, spend a little bit of time. And then the main big light well, it's got an outside jacuzzi, but then this spiral staircase which then takes you up to the garden, so you don't have to go out of the house through the front door. That's almost like your back door into your outside space.
How far underground are we here?
Well, the ceiling heights here are just over 3 meters, but you've got another meter really on top of that, which is both structure and the landscaping on top of the structure. So at this point we're probably about 4 meters below the garden level. There's a lot of properties that don't really have views. You know, the drawback for this is, you know, clearly the whole thing is underground, so you don't have views across fields or whatever. But so many homes don't have views. You know, they're up against boundaries, and you've got a line of trees, and you're just looking straight at trees. I mean, we've created this green landscape type feel. You're not looking across fields, but actually, environmentally, it's nice.
It's great, though, because you can see a huge tree, so you have a view, actually, of forest. Yeah. I mean, that was probably intentional. You put the light wells in a spot where you're going to get...
I mean, to be fair, there's trees, this location, there's trees all the way around. I mean, it is a very, you know, leafy conservation area.
We've done a lot of underground projects, and sometimes you do have these feeling that the more traditional ones actually look like wine cellars.
Yeah.
And you feel almost the moisture and smell it, and almost like the dampness of it. And here, you don't have that feeling.
Well, and actually it's a stage more because as I've come in, I've noticed the heating actually isn't on. So the heating hasn't been on here for 3 months, and what you've observed there is right. So it's not like we're keeping it that way by things that we're doing within the building. All the things that your sensors tell you that should be there from an underground house. Height, light, that mustiness or the dampness, you can't have any of that. Otherwise it just doesn't work.
A circle has some magic to it, but
Why? When you start off with the principle and you're initially just sketching shapes, it seemed like quite an interesting idea, particularly with the idea of having a central core that you could actually draw light through the middle of and have that radiating through the space. So I think that's where it came from. There was an early iteration, the first scheme that we got consent for here was actually a 2-story subterranean house with a swimming pool in the basement. And I mean, ultimately, pragmatism reigned, and we reined it back in from that, made it 1-story but bigger.
Because to go any deeper would be much more expensive, right?
Yeah, not just expensive, but if you'd have seen the size of the hole here, I mean, you know, it was ludicrous, the size of the hole. For that to be, to do a pool on a level below, you'd be, it would have been just cavernous. And with that comes greater challenge, greater risk. We had to form this, we had to effectively sheet pile a circle. So you're driving, I mean, for this, I think we drove 10-meter long steel sheets into the ground, which interlock in your circle, and you weld them. And then you build everything inside of, you drive those in, then you dig out all the ground, and then you start, putting all of your concrete and structure inside. If you're going what would probably have been almost 10 meters down, you're driving sheet steel in 20 meters deep. I mean, there comes a point where, practically it's, and it's a lateral, it's once a 1-story, so it's a lateral space, so it really enhances the flow. I mean, this is one 2,000 square foot, and it's once a 1-story, so it's a lateral space, so it really enhances the flow. You can pop into sleeping spaces, with a step.
Having an oculus at the middle as a skylight is something that, since the Pantheon in Rome, so a lot of important buildings.
That would have been a better answer from me.
Start again.
Yeah, well, I went to the Pantheon in Rome, and actually I saw that the circle and just how visually dramatic that was, and we drew inspiration. You get all of the things that are quite topical. So all this talk about us maybe entering a nuclear war, this is probably not a bad place to be. It's our own luxury bunker. I think more relevant, our clients there's a lot within the sporting industry. In this area, it's probably the biggest concentration of footballers probably anywhere really, because you've got both of the Manchester clubs plus Liverpool and Everton very close by. So that's a big part of our business, and these guys are, the two big obsessions with them are privacy and security. And actually this property has those at very, very high levels. Once you've dropped down into your house here, which by the way, using the car lift, you can get in without anyone knowing you're in. And once you're in, no one can see you. So obviously we've come in how you would come in if you were a pedestrian, but if you're coming in by car, you would actually come in here. And that's how you should arrive in this house, is to drop down and to drive into here, and this is how you come in. And then obviously from a security point of view, most houses, every conventional window is a security weakness. Whereas here, you're not coming in through these. You'd have to be Spider-Man anyway. You couldn't break it. Yeah, so the idea here is this is the staircase that you use when you're within the house and you want to come to the garden. So what we've got here, I mean, it's winter time, so it's not really in use, but the idea here is you've got an outside amenity space, completely private, sunken hot tub, and an outdoor fireplace. But the light well is also serving to connect you with the garden, so you can pop out of the main living space and use this to draw you up into the house.
So how did you know how large to make this in order to get enough light? Was that all calculated? The trajectory of the angle of the light? Because you get so much light into these, no?
I think it was more a feeling, really. It was a trade between, you don't want this light well to be too big for up there. You want it to be very big for down here, but not too big. So, I mean, this is big. 8 meters by 3 meters, 20. You think 25 square meters of lighting. There are tons of houses that don't have that in their whole house. This is a 4,000 square foot basement. We've done stuff like this a number of times with houses on top, big houses on top. So in that way, really, it's the same, isn't it?
So basically, you just built a big basement.
Yeah, it's a basement without a house. Yeah.